United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas. We have our own seasoned justice correspondent who will be checking in with us to keep you up to speed on the daily details of this high-profile legal case. Be sure to tune in to Areva Martin in real time, weekdays at 4:35 p.m. for United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Order in the court.
Come, my love, with me across the sea. Return to paradise. All in life worthwhile is on that isle. Return to paradise. Velvet moon above. Evil turns to love. Love evermore. Come with me and find your peace of mind. Return to paradise.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's time for our daily deep dive. Getting a little caught up in the music. We needed that. Call it a palate refresher, a brain break, an elevation for your Friday. So pleased to welcome into the space the artist that you hear on vocals and piano there. That's from his new project. He's a recording artist, a composer, an educator. Performances spanning 2 decades. He's been featured at TEDx, NPR, music festivals, museums, and jazz clubs all over the country. He's also a teacher, a professor, and he teaches music. I'm talking about the Shayne Frederick. Good morning.
Good morning to you as well. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. It's cool to hear my music on your station. It's like, oh, that's me. I know that guy.
Yeah. Well, it's great for us too, even though we don't know that guy, at least not yet.
Well, I guess that's why I'm here.
That is exactly why you're here. So, brand new project. Tell us what we just heard, or what we're hearing, actually, still.
Right. The song is entitled Return to Paradise. I want to make one correction. On piano on this track, it's my good friend Tim Bray, who's also a musician and a college professor. We're actually working together a lot. So this is a highly collaborative project. 24 people, 25 people on this thing.
Wow.
And the King Suite, yes. Like everybody I know, I paid the money to do stuff.
Yes.
And I guess the premise of the project is taking some of the repertoire of Nat King Cole and kind of dissecting it, globalizing it, throwing it across the diaspora, giving it different influences than he had in his time. Because if he were still alive today, he would have been exposed to different music like we are. And jazz has expanded to accommodate different things. So I guess the project was like a thesis for me to explore that.
Jazz has expanded to encompass different things. What do you mean by that?
So there was a point in time where jazz mostly was a swing song or a ballad song. And then if you think about, for instance, the Bossa Nova era, where we realized they were African people in Brazil, and they had different rhythms. And we began to incorporate the Bossa Nova thing into the jazz vision. And it was kind of a conversation between Brazil and the United States. And then I think about Cuban music being infused. And we realized, oh, there are African people in Cuba. And then we got the likes of the music that came from Dizzy Gillespie. And so we can see even through time how music, jazz itself, was infused with different things. And then by the same token, we could think about how jazz influenced Fela Kuti and how that music popped up over in the motherland, in Africa, because music is a conversation. And now digitally, we're exposed to everything. I can hear anything I want to hear, and then infuse that into what I do, and vice versa.
Mm. You know what? When I went to Nigeria in 2019, we went to the shrine of Fela Kuti, and there's just these huge photos of jazz artists from the United States, and also, political leaders, the Malcolm X's of the world, but huge photos like shrines to John Coltrane and people like that. So, just when you said that, it kind of evoked that I guess global, not just global conversation, but also the respect and the love.
Absolutely, and we are blessed to. There's a blessing and a curse. So I'm thinking about YouTube, and I'm thinking about how I can watch a video. Right? No, you know what I'm saying. I can watch a video right now, and I can see a concert of Sarah Vaughan or Carmen McRae in Nigeria. And I can see, or in Sweden, in Switzerland, I can see the global response to those beautiful black women from 1960, whatever, sold out theaters in the way the world heralded them. And I wouldn't be able to firsthand experience that right now, but I can see how the world received those people. And so I can imagine there was probably also a shrine, even in Brazil. They love Sarah Vaughan in Brazil. I can see how the world received us, because we are the world, in a literal sense. Everywhere we go, we end up seeing ourselves like, wow, I got a cousin in Nigeria. Well, of course you do, because, if we trace the lines back, and then when they saw us in America, they said, wow, that's an extension of us, or we can relate to that, and we can be influenced by that. And then when we go there, we grab some of their influences and bring it back over here. So it's a conversation.
We're in conversation right now with Shayne Frederick, and I can hear just by the way you kind of break things down that you are an artist, but also a professor at the University of the Arts and a preschool music teacher, meaning even you can even get those of us who are not scholars to understand and get our minds around it. Why do you choose to exist in all those different spaces at once? I mean, talking to preschoolers, talking to university students, and then in the studio and on stage with some of the most complex and elite jazz players. Those are different universes.
I think I call it making a life for myself. I left a different life to do music. And for me, music is not just, on the stage. It's also, I found out that I was a recording artist. Because one thing, I was a live performer, and I was growing into this stage performer cool. And then it's like in the studio, it's different. I didn't know that until I started spending my money. Like, oh, wow, being in the studio is different. And then being in different types of classroom settings, I understand that I get the chance to share the information that I've gained over a couple years of me doing this work and studying this work. And if we don't do it and then tell other people how to do it or what we've learned in doing it, then it may not get done in the future. And what good does it serve me if everything dies out in this generation? What good does that serve any of us?
Well said. Talking with Shayne Frederick is, when we come forward, maybe we'll address this question, because I feel like I've been having conversations with people in all different genres. Is the culture an endangered species? It's KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates Women's History Month, sponsored by Walmart. As we celebrate Women's History Month this month, KBLA Talk 1580 would like to spotlight women leaders in our community who are creating positive change. If you or someone you know is making a difference in your community, please nominate them with a 50-word or less post on why you feel they should be included in the KBLA Women's Series, sponsored by Walmart. These women leaders will be featured on KBLA, interviewed on KBLA, and participate in a panel discussion hosted by by Areva Martin in real time. Visit the KBLA app or log on to KBLA1580.com to nominate a woman in your community that is creating positive change. This has been a KBLA Talk 1580 community call to action.
Periods don't care what you're doing, but your pad should. Get Always Triple Protection System in Always Day and Night Pads. Always Day Pads protect when active by wicking away gushes 2 times faster than leading store brands and giving us up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort. When we size up our pad at night, we get the same triple protection, plus up to 75% more coverage in the back for when we're laying down. No matter what, Always has you covered, day and night.
Wouldn't you say it's time for a beauty refresh? Lucky for you, Ulta Beauty's 21 Days of Beauty is happening now. So treat yourself with up to 50% off bestsellers like Benefit Cosmetics and MAC Cosmetics. And say hello to new product launches from Fenty Beauty by Rihanna, Tarte Cosmetics, and so many more. That new you feeling is waiting at Ulta Beauty. But hurry, Beauty's biggest event ends April 1st. Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
Join Black Wealth Matters, an educational series as we explore and explain the Black College Athletes Playbook in a 5-part series starting April 6th. Dr. Davarian Baldwin, an award-winning scholar and author, seen in Time, CNBC, and more, helps us follow the college dollars. Coach John Mosley, fan favorite of Netflix's docuseries Last Chance U, covers the new world of the college athletes. David McGriff, one of the leaders in the NIL and sports world and owner of the McGriff Agency, explains NIL and the effects on Black athletes. Keisha Richardson gives the challenges of raising a Black athlete. And last, for the bonus series, we want to give athletes the tools to capitalize from their name and likeness with swimming bronze medalist from the 2021 Paralympics, Jamal Hill. There is no cost for the series. It's a live webinar. Questions are welcome. Register on KBLA1580.com.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
I just found joy. I'm as happy as a baby boy with another brand new choo-choo toy. When I'm with my sweet Lorraine, 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 Lorraine. She's got a pair of eyes that are brighter than the summer skies. When you see them, you will realize why I love my sweet Lorraine.
Shayne Frederick is our guest. That's him singing. KBLA Talk 1580. You do a lot of things, Mr. Frederick. You do a lot of things. Congratulations on the new project. Where can we find this?
It's everywhere. You know, it's Apple Music title, Spotify, the King Suite is entitled. And I'm hoping that people, when they find this project, then they'll realize I have a few other things that I had done prior. This, I think, is my best work yet. Of course, artists always say that. The latest work is the best work, of course.
If not, then they're depressed, right?
I know that's right.
If the latest
and
work
I'm trying to live in my art.
Yeah, so, obviously this is not the first project you've done. I mean, you've been called one to watch by All About Jazz and the one of the busiest and the best jazz singers by Broad Street Review. Soulful by Downbeat Magazine. The legacy and tradition of jazz singers in this country, really on the world stage, is quite huge. Big shoes to walk in. Where do you place yourself in that? How do you see yourself in that giant pantheon of greats?
Right, that's a powerful question. And I guess for me, what I see when I look at the greats, the masters that I have studied, that a lot of people have studied just to kind of figure out who we are, is that they were all unique interesting. They were clear that they were themselves. They weren't none of them were trying to be someone else. And so when I look at one of my contemporaries, I'm trying to see them within what they're doing. And I'm clear about kind of who I am, what I'm bringing to this music, the fact that I understand the music comes from a culture. And so I'm studying all of that and putting it inside, trying to translate, deliver joy and life and do that storytelling bit, which that could be, quote unquote, a dying art. But I don't really want to believe that, because I think there are those of us who still are following in that tradition, which is refreshing. You know, what's old is new.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, I was thinking about that. It's like you say you're living your art, but it's like you're time traveling. You're living in several decades all at once, and yet very much planted in today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like contemporary. It's so old that it is new, especially if you weren't around the first time. And because I'm doing it I'm not doing like a pastiche, or I'm not doing a karaoke. My game plan is not. I've never been because I'm not really into those guys who throw on the fedora and do the impersonation. I'm not an impersonator,
Clearly.
And more power to, that's cool. I guess, get your money. I'm not stopping nobody's check. Okay. But my game plan has never been to be stuck duplicating, and I tell people who want to be who are younger vocalists, it's great to study and to listen to everybody and then find your favorites. The worst thing you can do, however, is to duplicate the flaws of the person. And you can tell when someone is duplicating even the flaws of whoever they're trying to mimic. Then it's like, you need to back up off that, stop listening, and find something else, because you're a little too deep now.
Wow, that's interesting. Are we, on the one hand, I feel like, I've heard, like I said, I've heard this from many people in different genres, not just jazz and hip hop and R&B, that with all of the cultural appropriation, with the blessing and curse, as you've dubbed YouTube, that we are, that the culture is literally in danger, that we are being erased from our own creative endeavors. How do you see that?
I understand that argument. I don't choose to live in that. I think there's a group of people, every time they open their mouths, see, jazz ain't dead, jazz ain't dead. No. And it's like, if you're focused on saying that, that means to me you are like trying to, you're rejecting the idea of something that you see in front of you. That is to say, you feel that it's dead, so you got to keep saying that to affirm the opposite of that. And for me, I'm living in the life of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm living in the life of it. I'm making my money off jazz. I know people who are making money off jazz and enjoying the music, literally enjoying the music and delivering joy through it. So it can't be dead. And then every time I am interacting with another vocalist who, for whatever reason, wants to ask me a question, talk to me, whether I'm, kind of coaching them or it's a colleague, we're not talking about what's dying. We're talking about what's living.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I think it's the blackness that people are feeling is being erased, whether it's in jazz or hip hop or R&B, that, the origins, the story of, the origination of that is being erased. Yeah. And I guess that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think I'm very clear that I've studied all of the origin stories, and I'm not just going to teach you a song if you want me to tell you, all right, I need to learn 20 jazz songs real quick. I'm not just going to give you 20 songs. I'm going to tell you 20 stories. I'm going to tell you who composed it, who composed the music, who composed the lyric, what's the context, what Billie Holiday did, where Ella was, what's the story of Ella, what's her backstory, why she did this, how did she get there, Sarah Vaughan, okay, the Apollo stage, Newark, New Jersey. I can't just give you songs out of context. When you decontextualize the art, you're missing the culture of it. Yeah. And I'm very much about the culture of the music. You can't take the music, you can't take the product without taking the process.
Clearly, people also complain about what we're defining as jazz, and that's another conversation. But it seems to me that, I'm blessed to be on the board of a new jazz festival here in Los Angeles called the LA Jazz Festival that's launching in summer of 2023, a massive jazz festival on the beach with
Wow.
artists from all over the world. And so I don't see it. I don't see it dying. I think some things never die. The art of the story can never die. The story's the thing.
Sure.
I always say if you're boring on in real life, you'll be boring on Facebook. It's not.
I know that's right.
The story can't die. The story is all we have.
Right. But you got to have a story also. I
Yeah.
think that's the issue.
Yeah.
We have a lot of, maybe that's the emptiness. Maybe that's where people begin to duplicate someone all the way down to the flaw because they don't even have their own story yet.
Interesting.
Maybe that's what that is.
Well, you know what? I'm listening to you, and I want to sign up for your class because I really want to hear all these stories. I'm like, I want to know that. I want to hear that. That sounds amazing. Samara Joy won a Grammy Award for Best New Artist. Was that
That's right.
important for jazz? What did that mean for the art?
I think it's important for a lot. I mean, first of all, bless that baby. She's like 22, 23.
Yeah.
It's huge. And I refuse to say that she's before her time or it's too early because it's happening. And she's here. And she's doing, like, there's no way you can, like, delegitimize, first of all, her talent, her skill, her dedication. I've known her backstory for a few years more than a lot of people may have because she's from the East Coast, and I know people who related to her, and I've kind of seen a little bit of that come up. So, not that I was in the gym with her shooting. I can't say that. But, you cannot delegitimize the fact that she comes from a context, and she is legitimately, some people in this gray area, is that jazz? What's jazz? I'm not that much of a, conservative fundamentalist, this is jazz, that ain't jazz kind of person. But there's no way you could say she's not jazz, first of all. And so for someone to get that and just be straight up jazz, not jazz light, not jazz fusion, not super contemporary, not someone who's kind of is jazz, but really actually R&B, but pretending to be jazz. There's all of that going on.
Yeah, of course.
Even the Jazz Fest world.
Especially
you
the
do
Jazz
Fest, and
festivals.
it's all R&B.
Yeah.
How your whole roster on the Jazz Fest R&B? I don't understand,
It's called ticket sales. But yeah, I
know that's right.
But yeah, I understand. I mean, that's a debate. I said we could save that for another conversation. But so all of that to the side. I mean, it is new artists, so you're probably not going to be an elder. But all of that to the side, what does it mean for the medium or the culture of jazz, if anything?
Well, I mean, a new artist is a new artist. You could be new at 90.
Really?
So if you were new on the mainstream venue, you're a new artist. There's no age on that per se. It is literally, it's about access, industry access. And, and she has been knighted or whatever the gender. I'm not going to gender the
anointed.
But you know what I mean? Anointed, yes. Thank you. Right, which has no gender, right?
Mm-hmm.
And right place, right time, right skill, right talent, right dedication. The right people saw her and said, yes, I want to get on this train. And they put the money behind it to make that train take. I can't log on to Facebook without seeing an ad for this young lady. And I'm like, yes, get him.
Yeah.
Because, she's a gateway drug.
Right. Gateway drug.
For a lot of people. I had a gateway drug.
Yeah. What was yours?
Mine was actually like contemporary R&B stuff. It was the Anita Bakers, the Rochelle Farrells, the Phyllis Hymans. Because if you look at their liner notes and you saw who produced their stuff and who was on their stuff, and then you get to the George Dukes of it all, and then you see the people who, you see the machines and the cats who could play anything they wanted to. And then if you choose to do, I was an crate digger. So I'm like, all right, let me see everything this brother did. Let me see everything this sister did. And then I started getting deeper and deeper. And then you end up in the Coltrane hole or something like that.
Yeah.
And then when you get to John Coltrane, you get a beret in the mail, you get a black beret, and you get a scotch snifter and a cigar, and you a jazz head after that.
Yeah. I was shocked that she was the first jazz artist to win Best New Artist, but that is interesting that it does have no age limit. But, back to you and the stories you're telling. You are telling stories that are not just musical stories. You're telling stories of history, touring and singing with the words. Well, I guess the portrayal of Frederick Douglass.
Yeah. My good friend, and she's a scholar, also jazz vocalist, Ruth Naomi Floyd, is producing like bodies of work, and she's kind of doing this thing where she's in the academic world and the performance world. She's created a body of work based on the speeches of Frederick Douglass, and then created compositions. She's a flautist as well, and when the money is right, and she has a different show. I did one or two in California a couple of years ago, right before the beginning of the pandemic. I portrayed him on stage, doing his orations while, she spoke and she sang, and there's another vocalist and a whole, like a small, let's say, like a chamber music group. She's also done a few others based on other historical kind of Titanic figures. And she's someone I'm honored to just call a friend and a colleague, and I know her personally. She lives also in Philadelphia. She does amazing work. We did a few things in the university circuit over in Cali back in, like I said, 2020.
But
she takes the show on the road.
And your voice, your work was portraying Frederick Douglass, which is a pretty big job to take on.
Yeah. I mean, he was the most photographed person ever in his day, and also his prolific speeches, of course. He was asked to speak everywhere. His words were so powerful and prophetic, and even contemporary, because, we could deliver his speeches right now, and we realized some of the language is a little outdated, or we don't speak those ways formally as much, but he ain't said nothing that was a lie yet.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. Shayne Frederick is our guest. You can find him. He's on social media. You can find him on YouTube. And, of course, you can find his new album, The King Suite, wherever you get your music. It is streaming. And while you're at it, pick up some of the other projects that he has previously done, continuing our conversation with this incredible pianist and jazz singer-composer when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A federal appeals court has upheld a lower court decision to block the government from enforcing a requirement that federal employees be vaccinated against COVID-19. The Fifth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled a preliminary nationwide injunction on the vaccine mandate should remain in place while the case proceeds. In Alabama, Birmingham's Civil Rights Districts is gaining money to help with tourism projects. Jefferson County Commissioners decided yesterday to approve $2.6 million in funding from the American Rescue Plan Act to go towards 6 proposals. 2 of the largest awards will be split at the 16th Street Baptist Church's Visitor and Education Building and the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
If cold candidate calls aren't turning into hot hiring leads, then you need Indeed. Because Indeed's powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, screen, and interview candidates all from one place. Find your next great hire visiting Indeed.com/credit.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
UCLA loses by 3 last night to Gonzaga in the West Regional semifinals of the NCAA tournament. The Bruins went 11 minutes in the second half without a basket. Julian Strother hit a deep three-pointer with 6 seconds left to close out the Bruins. The Clippers beat Oklahoma City by 22, 32 points for Kawhi Leonard. Russell Westbrook dropped 24 points and 7 assists. The Lakers are pointing to the final week of the regular season for LeBron James to return. LeBron has been out since February 26 with a tendon injury in his right foot. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
It's Aaron from Original Taco Pete. Let us cater your March Madness munchies. Order with us at Original Taco Pete on Grubhub, Uber Eats, DoorDash, or stop into our Slauson and Crenshaw location. We'll feed you soon.
I'm young, gifted, and black. At KBLA KBLA Talk 1580, we do more than just talk.
Hey there, I'm Jared Hill, president of the National Association of Black Journalists of Los Angeles, and I just want to say thank you for the benevolent $10,000 donation and scholarships for the next generation of black journalists.
And I'm Haywood Galbraith, photojournalist and founder of the Minority Photojournalism Institute. Thanks, KBLA, for your generous $10,000 scholarship gift to help us train the next generation of black photojournalists.
Congratulations to all the students who will benefit from the scholarship dollars raised at our Black History Month luncheon, honoring black legends in LA media. When we come forward at KBLA Talk 1580, we're bringing everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us. Everybody with us.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I'm here with Lisa Stevens, Senior Business Consultant with Chase for Business. Lisa, what's one tip you'd give to business owners here in the Crenshaw area?
I love that you asked that question. I'm originally from Brooklyn, and I grew up in an area that's very similar to Crenshaw. So this is near and dear to my heart. And if I could only leave a business owner with just one, I would tell the business owner to identify their why. And I think that is so important because your why is going to be that strength on those days where you feel like you're struggling. Your why is going to be that stepping stone. Those days that you want to give up, your why is going to be the reason that you get back up.
And how would you advise business owners looking to acquire capital? What do they need to know before stepping inside the branch to ask for funding?
So 3 things. I do want to share this when it comes to the power of capital and just finding those resources. Understand that capital is a 3-part of a business, right? It's not always about the monetary piece, but if you first put that intellectual, right? What do I need to know? That social, who I need to know? That will help you to then package for that monetary piece. So no matter who you're banking with, you should know your banker. Never walk into a bank and you're transactional only.
It's just like Lisa to drop gems. I'm Maisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
KBLA 1580 Talk Radio congratulates Sal's Gumbo Shack for this Women's History Month. Surviving the pandemic and social unrest, Sal's Gumbo Shack continued to hold the community up with great food to all that came through the doors. Are you ready for the best gumbo in town? The best po' boy you've had? Sal's Gumbo Shack. We bring the bayou to you with real authentic soul food. Mama and Granny's recipes made with real butter, real love, real everything. Also introducing a healthy option from our jackfruit selection. And there's more. Mouth-watering desserts, peach cobbler, banana pudding, red and blue velvet cake, 7-Up pound cake, homemade with lots of love. To order, call 562-423-2113. That's 562-423-2113. Sal's is also providing training and employment to those serious about a career in the food industry and the opportunity to perhaps own your own Sal's Gumbo Shack one day. Visit salsgumboshack.com or stop by either locations, Bixby Knolls or Long Beach Boulevard. Sal's Gumbo Shack.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where everybody is somebody and nobody is a stranger. You belong here.
Here's something that I'd like to bring to you, wrapped all in cellophane, designed for you. Tell you what it's all about. It is without a doubt swinging the latest style, service with a smile. If you want to swing, shout, get your kicks, get about. I'm an errand boy for rhythm. Send me. Lace your boots and follow through. I'll deliver straight to you. I'm an errand boy for rhythm. Send me. You can always always find me down in Smoky Joe's. That's the place where every gal and gator goes. If you want variety, just step in and call for me. I'm an errand boy for rhythm, rhythm, rhythm. Send me.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talking with V. Shayne Frederick this morning. Happy Friday. You can find him on Twitter, V. Shayne F. That's Shayne with a Y. SHAYNE, V. Shayne F. on Twitter. That's his voice. That's Nat King Cole's song with the remix. Not even a remix. It's a reimagining, I'll say. The King Suite is his new project. You can find it wherever you stream your music. V. Shayne Frederick, you're a composer too. You're a keyboard player, a composer, a scholar. What makes you choose to step into the music? The classics, the music of others, as you often do in your work. And I know that's kind of what jazz players do. But as a composer, what compels you to say, okay, I'm going to move away from my compositions for this project and arrange or reimagine the classics?
Well, I mean, I think about, for me, it's about the story, and we said the story and interpretation. And I think even with the masters, the ones that we all study, those of us who like kind of sit down with this great body of work that we call jazz, like Ella didn't write, I don't think she wrote a song. Or, like literally most of the greats, we admire them for their interpretation.
Right.
What they represented, the stories that they told. Whether it's your story, my story, or, whether I wrote the story, but I can do it better. That's kind of that's what the jazz thing really is. Like, I have a spin on that. Let me show you how I feel about this. You know what I mean? And, even today, many of today's artists, we know these cats ain't writing their stuff. And no one is even saying they're writing their stuff. It's really about who they are in any genre, what they represent, what they're bringing to the thing, how it fits a larger identity, how they stylize it. That's in pop and R&B, because we know most of these people are definitely not the writers of these things.
Yeah, I mean, even rappers.
And honestly,
clear.
Listen, right. And a lot of my composition stuff has been not even related to jazz, which is interesting. I started like film scoring stuff and doing a whole bunch of instrumental stuff that ended up in like kind of commercial things and short films. That kind of came out of the blue,
Yeah, that was back
So
to
it's
me
really
saying you have a lot of jobs. I mean, you can put it all under musician, composer, but you got a lot of jobs: professor, teacher, orator, touring jazz artists, recording artists, and also, as you point out, film scorer and commercial music composer.
Right. And upstanding Negro. You got to put that up now.
Oh, man. Yeah, let me write that down. Here, I don't want to leave that out.
That is right.
But, who are those greats? I mean, we can go on and on. That could be the whole rest of the show. But the ones that specifically whisper in your ear as an artist.
I really loved a lot of the instrumentalists. Now I find myself listening to people I know, and seeing them live. But I think about studying, doing all-nighters, writing papers, listening to John Coltrane and Miles Davis when they were playing stuff at breakneck speeds, just for the energy of it. And just,
who needs
like,
no-dos?
Just like, right, yeah, you got giant steps. You don't need no-dos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff. And then I think about, of course, we got Miles, and of course, rest in peace, most recently to Mr. Wayne Shorter, whose music I've always loved. There is so many instrumentalists. And then I could talk of, Bill Evans and Joe Pass. So we're talking about piano and guitar. And of course, so vocally, my vocalists were Carmen McRae, Sarah Vaughan, Shirley Horn, who was also a fabulous pianist. In the style of Nat King Cole, Shirley Horn could sit down at the piano and play and sing, and that's all you needed. She was the show. You know what I mean? I love those kind of people. And both Sarah and Carmen could sit down and play, and they did during concerts. I think about Betty Carter, More recently, I think about people who are still alive, such as Dee Dee Bridgewater. I loved, listening to John Lucien. I loved Andy Bay, and then there's Andy Bay and the Bay Sisters when he, So I've been in the archives, and I'm still studying. I'm still becoming,
Well, while we have you here, and I'm hailing out of Philadelphia, all the way out here to the West Coast, take us on a little tour of your recordings. What we ought to be digging in your crates for beyond your new release, the King Suite. You said you hope folks will explore a little more. What ought we be looking for, or maybe just take us on your journey, your story?
Sure. So it was maybe 2018. That was my first project. I think that's when it came out. I got to look, because I did everything like in a cluster. I started when I got into the studio, I realized, I kind of like this, and I have another idea, and I have another idea. So it kind of came back to back. But I front loaded. The first project was entitled "Lovesome," which was borrowed from the title of a Billy Strayhorn composition, "A Flower is a Lovesome Thing," Lovesome. So that was really me taking things that I had done in the studio, just kind of as practices and exercise and all these collaborations. It was 10 songs and 10 different sets of musicians. One vibe over a period of maybe about a year. I had sat on it, and I realized that I needed to. Everyone was asking for this project. Where's your CD, man? You ain't got no CD? And some certain things you can't book without a CD. You can't book certain gigs, and then you go places and you do the show, and then people want to take a piece of you home, and you have nothing to give them. So I said, let me get this one out here. I did that project. A lot of great songs. It was a great opportunity for me to collaborate with a lot of arrangers, and I got the string section, I got the horn section. I'm producing stuff all out of my pocket, by the way, that represented the golden age of this music that I call jazz, that I feel like was created in the spirit of those records where, yes, I got a string section, and I paid for it. You know what I mean? And I know the guy who arranged it, and I told him how I wanted this and that. I hired all the people. I knew everyone on that record. It was another one of those records like that. So just my favorite songs and different styles. After that record, I did Gleaming. That was a CD, actually an EP, with a collaboration with my buddy Elliot Bill, who's a horn player out of the Midwest. I met him in Philly. He lives still here in Philly. Prolific, also an arranger. And I said, I want you to put strings on this one and get your horn guys together. I know all these cats. Give me like a nice horn section on this tune. And he was able to pull something together. It was too late for my initial album, so I put that EP out. And then I said, I want to do like a holiday-themed EP. So I did an EP entitled Evergreen. So there's one Christmas spiritual hymn on it, a few jazz standards related to Christmas, and then other songs that I felt would be cool for that vibe. And then the pandemic came, and I was like, I want to do something that's like, blackety black, black, black. So I did an EP entitled Black Light. And actually, one of the songs on that is composed by Wayne Shorter, Black Nile. And there were lyrics written to that later after he composed the music for that. I was able to get all my favorite people in the studio, did it for 4 tracks. I got a rapper on one of the tracks. It was kind of, me just having fun, like using the people I know, all the genius artistic people I know, paying them money, being a part of a musical community that's just full of talented, hungry, and interested people. I really, community, jazz is community music. You got to know people to do jazz.
Yeah, the Black Nile song is one of your most popular on YouTube, at least. So your interpretation of that. When we come forward, I want to talk a little bit about your work on the you're now a governor, the Academy, and what that means as far as joining the gatekeepers, if you will, or why that is important for you to take time out from your work to do that. And of course, more on the music when we come forward. That's, of course, the Recording Academy. We're in LA, so everyone thinks it's, talking about the Oscars. No, talking about the Recording Academy. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Black women making history at the Oscars. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Lendistry. The 95th Annual Academy Awards took place this week. Although the show has Black media critics in an uproar due to Angela Bassett not winning Best Supporting Actress, we still celebrate costume designer Ruth E. Carter for becoming the first Black woman to win 2 Oscars. Carter has worked on astounding films in the past, such as Selma, Malcolm X, and Spike Lee's School Days. Carter's moment has come again as she has won her second Oscar for Best Costume Design in the Marvel sequel Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. After taking home her win, Carter says she hopes that this can create more opportunities for other women of color in film. I'm Maisha Cairo, and that's your K-Black Minute News.
Hello, this is Dr. Rosa Milligan, self-appointed mayor of South Central Los Angeles, calling authors and business owners. Get ready for Black Writers on Tour, plus Business and Tech Expo, Saturday, March 25th, 2023, 10 to 3 p.m. It's a face-to-face event at the Carson Community Center.
Authors, aspiring writers, learn how to write, publish, and sell your book. Business owners, let people know where you're at, and much more. 323-750-3592. It's a free event. You heard right, free. And there's something for everybody. Go to blackwritersontour.com and register today. 323-750-3592.
Literacy is everybody's business. Black Writers on Tour, Saturday, March 25th, 2023, 10 to 3 p.m. I'm looking to see you face to face. 323-750-3592 or visit blackwritersontour.com. Don't miss it.
Law Office of J. Blacknell understands the stress and anxiety that comes with legal issues. That's why we support the right to a fair trial for Los Angeles Councilmember Mark Willie Thomas. Do you have a criminal or civil rights matter? If so, please give us a call at 310-469-9117.
Wouldn't you say it's time for a beauty refresh? Lucky for you, Ulta Beauty's 21 Days of Beauty is happening now. So treat yourself with up to 50% off bestsellers like Benefit Cosmetics and MAC Cosmetics. And say hello to new product launches from Fenty Beauty by Rihanna, Tarte Cosmetics, and so many more. That new you feeling is waiting at Ulta Beauty. But hurry! Beauty's biggest event ends April 1st. Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. Ulta Beauty. The possibilities are beautiful.
Tune in to More Than That with Gia Peppers live this Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580 or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by Kroger, making fresh food more accessible for our communities. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Broadcasting live from Leimert Park, USA. Welcome back to your home for unapologetically progressive radio, KBLA Talk 1580.
We are sitting off your Friday with some jazz. You got it?
I don't know. Maybe it was. We were.
We're setting off your Friday with some jazz. And his name is, there you go, Shayne Frederick. Yes.
I've been looking for a playmate, someone on whom I can depend.
Semblait gentil, assez chance. C'est un montant comme t'es blé.
I'll stick right to the end. Oh. Wanna be a friend of yours, and a little bit more. I wanna be a pal of yours, and a little bit more.
Shayne Frederick. Yep, you want to hear the whole project? Stream it. It's on all the streaming platforms. The King Suite is a new project. He's given you a tour of his recordings so far. Certainly you can find him on YouTube, singing, playing, performing. the Shayne Frederick. It's a great way to set off our Friday with your music. And I guess you sing in Black Nile, Ancestry's History's Calling Me. Talk to me about that piece. We call ourselves your ancestors' favorite radio station here. And so we talk about stories and being a time traveler, being in what we call Sankofa, right? Looking back to go forward. Talk to me about how the ancestors inspire the work, but at the same time, we move it forward.
That's right, Sankofa. You got to go back and fetch it, because you can't move forward without looking backwards, and bringing the stuff with you and all of that. I'm very much in tune. Well, I try to be, as a practice, to honor my literal ancestors. I think some people believe it's like a figurative thing, like this nebulous thing. I don't know what's happening to these people, but no, I'm thinking about my grandmama and my grandfather, and yes, those before them as well. Because again, culture comes from people, and music is culture. And so I think about the music that the people who created the music that I love, and the music that I stand to represent, and the music I deliver, the music I enjoy, even when I'm not on the stage doing it. I'm thinking about the stories of those people. And when I watch a video of someone doing something, whether it's 1937 or 2017, I'm thinking, like, what kind of person is this? When I watch people perform, that's what I actually think about, who they are as a person. It's deep. It's crazy. But I sit there and I think about, I don't think she's a nice person. Or like, I know she probably got a mean cuss-out game. That's what I think about when I watch people perform. You know what I mean?
What are they
I'm always looking for the story.
So speaking of the stories, what do you want us to read? How do we get smarter about music, about especially jazz, but all music in your view? Right.
So I got to admit, full disclosure, my first job as a teenager when I was 14 was working in a library, public library. And so I got into the biography and the autobiography section. And in fact, I'm looking at my bookshelf now, and I see across from me Lush Life, the Billy Strayhorn biography. I see Open the Door, the Betty Carter biography. This is just something I'm looking at. Of course, you have the Toni Morrison and da-da-da-da-da. But, you find the people that you connect with. You find the people whose stories resonate with you. And, one story will always lead you to another story. Because, again, community, we are who we are because of who we are connected to.
Yeah.
So just let that's how I let that naturally flow. Yes, I was reading Color Purple and Roots when I was 13, 14, but then that led me to, and then that led me to, and that led me to,
All right. Well, talk to me about the Recording Academy. You are the chapter governor for Philadelphia. And why spend your time? Why invest in that? What does it mean? Why is it important?
Right. So there's a governor's board with a few governors, and of course, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, all those titles. Because being in an artistic community with people who are in love with this thing and concerned about the economy of it, the way we are received, the way we get paid, on a national level, and with the Philadelphia chapter of the Recording Academy, our jurisdiction, of course, is this region. And it's great to be in community with people who are the movers and shakers and the doers. You have to have a certain level of experience and credential to be elected, to even actually just get appointed to the Recording Academy, to apply and to actually be received. And then among those people, to decide, someone was like, Shayne, you should really, the governor thing, we got a seat open, and I think you should try to be one of the governors because, again, you're an educator, you know what you're doing. You've been doing this for almost 20 years as far as being on stage and your recording career, and you'll meet some great people, and, you'll hear some great stories. And then, when we're doing lobbying stuff and we're meeting with, local politicians to talk about grant funding and all of this stuff, you can help be one of the advocates because you're in the field. You out here in the trenches.
Right.
Doing
I mean,
work,
so what do you think about people like The Weeknd or Drake who are just like, F the Grammys, I don't even want to be part of that system, and you've chosen the opposite, to be a governor within the Recording Academy?
Well, I mean, the Grammys is one aspect of what the Recording Academy does, and I'm not guaranteed to get a Grammy or be nominated for. I got to do the whole thing just like everyone else does. If I choose to, put this project or any other subsequent project on the market for a nomination, I'm not necessarily anti-Grammy, but the Grammy does not define my life or my career or what I think is quote unquote successful. Do I want a Grammy? Sure, because for me, what it means. What it represents, not like, oh, I got a Grammy, but to receive the respect of people who you respect, I guess, because not everyone can vote in every category as well. That's the thing as well. So for certain categories, best new and, the best album, but the genre-specific categories, you have to be a subject matter expert in that category to even vote for that category. So when you get to that level, yes, there is, people voting in blocks and all the kind of thing. If you get a big machine behind you, yes, if I were on Blue Note or Verve, then I would probably have a larger machine behind me to say, everyone check this project out and vote for this project. But if you don't have that, there are those people who pop out of nowhere, like, whoa, where'd that come from? And those people have somehow garnered at least the attention, if not the respect, of their industry peers, which accounts for something.
We just have maybe 30 seconds. Shayne Frederick, it's been a pleasure talking with you. What do you want to leave us with real quick here?
Yeah, this hour has gone by very quickly. I'm grateful for this music. Support jazz. Support an artist, a live musician, wherever you are, the people you know, not just the famous people that everyone knows, because you never know. All it takes is the support. Go see someone, give them money, buy their product, love on them, listen to them, let them know that they're valuable in this community, because we are here. We're all we got.
Absolutely. Shayne Frederick, appreciate you, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. I really love it.
If you want to keep the vibe going, find the King Suite wherever you stream your music. And if you missed my podcast, while you're up there, just type in KBLA 1580 and then Dominique DiPrima. Boom, they will pop up. History is now, and we are making it together. Until next time, have a great weekend. Be well. One love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A federal appeals court has upheld a lower court decision to block